The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Nick Fantasy. They're coming to customers, play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. And welcome, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. Currently Saturday night, November 8th, around 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Rosso Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the breakdown of the final event of the ATP calendar year for most players. There's a next-gen event coming out in about a month, but as the ATP Tour Finals, we're going to break down the upcoming event. Should be pretty short, to be honest, because we do have the best of the best playing against each other. Some asterisks along the way, I'll get into in a second. But point is, we do know that Alcaraz and Sinner will both be here. So the question is, can anybody beat those two guys? We're going to find out in a few minutes. Before we get into the actual breakdown, though, of the ATP Tour Finals, do want to remind you once again, support the show, like, subscribing on YouTube. Reminder, you also find the podcast on Spotify or Apple. So check it out either on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple. Leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple, and like and subscribe to help the YouTube channel grow. Plus, a reminder, we have some merchandise on the SGPN merch store. We have a lot of great tennis merch, sweatshirts, t-shirts, mugs, high quality, very affordable. Think you'll like the options that we have, so check out the merch store as well. Plus, a reminder, we also have college basketball content because college basketball has started already. You can make sure to check out all of the free picks that we have to offer on the network by going to the College Experience, subscribing to their podcast to catch daily episodes, download the SGPN app for free, college basketball picks as well. Anyway, getting into the brief recap of what happened in the, finals that we ended up seeing in Athens and in Metz. Starting off with the lock and dog picks. We got everything right, simply put. Great episode for us. Was not a great tournament in terms of the lock and dog picks until the final, so we saved the best for last. For the lock, we had Djokovic minus 2.5 games at minus 118. Wasn't easy. Dropped the first set, got the job done. He had a couple of breaks in the, lead in the third set. Choked him away, was serving for the match, ended up getting broken. We needed Djokovic to break back and to hold in order to win, and he did. That's why he's the best of all time. Joker got the job done, won the first ever title in Athens. I believe he became the first player ever to win an ATP title in 20 different countries, which is kind of insane to think about, but Joker, we know, is the greatest of all time. Put together a masterclass again down the stretch, got the job done, outlasting Musetti 7-5 in the third set. So nice win for the lock. For the dog, nice win as well. We had Norrie and Tien over 2.5 sets at plus 130. Never in doubt, Tien won the first set, Norrie won the second set comfortably, and then Tien eventually did outlast Norrie in the third set. But either way, nice sweep for us. Definitely the outcome we wanted, and we got it. So overall, two very fun matches for the finals on Saturday, and we'll see what happens moving forward for the ATP Finals. Now, for the recap of the outrights, we won both events. Starting off with Tien, we gave him out to win Metz at 9-1. They got their first ever title in his ATP career. Congratulations. Very solid player. Point is, though, ended up seeing Tien have a lot of moments this season, beating Medvedev in the Aussie Open. Saw him beat Rublev a couple of times, beat Medvedev again. We know Tien is a solid player, and he has a title. So congrats to him. I am going to point out that we also had Norrie at 16-1. So Norrie would have been a better price, but still, 9-1's 9-1. Can't complain, but we would have won automatically no matter who actually won the match. Now, it was very dramatic because Tien was actually ahead by a decent amount in the third set, as he was up 4-1 in the third set. Then he choked it, and then he actually fought off a break point in the 4-4 game. Then you saw Norrie open up a big lead in the tiebreak. He went from down 1-4 to once again going to a tiebreak, and he led 5-1 in the tiebreak. So he had a couple of opportunities to get himself closer, to inch closer to a title, and instead, when he was 2 points away from winning, he ended up losing as he ended up falling apart there towards the back end. Tien locked it in and ended up winning that one 8-6 in the final set tiebreak. But overall, great match, very fun, and Tien got the job done for the first time in his career. Congrats to him. I'm sure he'll win a lot more, but a solid overall player, and definitely nice to see a youngster blossoming before our eyes. Moving on to, once again, the Djokovic match, which I thought was the match of the day. The Tien match was very good. The Joker third set against Musetti was unreal. The match took about 3 hours. I believe the final set took about 90 minutes by itself. Djokovic we had as well at plus 170. Unlike Metz, we also did not have Musetti, so we could have lost an outright. But instead, we ended up winning and sweeping the outrights and the lock and dog picks best results possible for us. For Djokovic, he still owns Musetti very close. The Musetti came out swinging in the first set. Joker kind of felt a little bit slow early on in the match, and then he settled in. The ball striking was pure, got the job done, won a crazy break point there in the second set, and then eventually the third set was chaotic, but Joker ended up getting the job done. He did blow a break lead on 2 separate occasions in the third set, but found a way to survive, and he got the job done to win another title. Now, this is going to segue us briefly into the ATP Tour Finals, because I mentioned the possibility of Musetti, who needed to win in order to actually qualify for the ATP Finals in Turin. I mentioned the possibility of Djokovic beating Musetti to eliminate Musetti, and then he would drop out of the ATP Finals, and Musetti would get his spot as a replacement, and that's what happened. So Djokovic ended up winning, and first thing he did after saying hi to his family, etc., he said, I'm out of here, and his season's officially over. He will not be doing the ATP Finals in Turin. He's going to skip it, and he's claiming it's a shoulder issue. Either way, Djokovic has won that event many times before. It's kind of weird to see the most high-profile non-Grand Slam tennis tournament look like garbage because their best player ever dismissed it entirely. But Djokovic can do whatever he wants and decided it was not worth his time. He won Athens and then decided my season's over, and now we'll see him at some point in 2026. But either way, point is Musetti, despite losing, did get rewarded, and he ended up making it into the ATP Finals in Turin, along with Felix. So Felix got in because Musetti lost, and Musetti got in anyway. So it was a happy ending, so to speak, unless you were hoping to see Djokovic against Sinner or Alcaraz or Fritz, etc. That's not going to happen. But either way, Djokovic won, and Mike dropped the rest of the season. But either way, we cashed everything for the lock and dog and for the outrights for Djokovic and Tien. Anyway, time to think of briefly if there's anything else worth talking about. I'll mention the women's, once again, Tour Final, because that officially ended. We saw Rybakina get the job done, ended up beating Sabalenka in straight sets. Was competitive. It was 6-3, 7-6. Then again, Sabalenka did not win a single point in the tiebreak, so not exactly great. We ended up seeing Sabalenka have 2 separate set points in the second set at 15-40 in the 4-5 return game. Didn't convert, and then once again got buried in the breaker. But both players were undefeated entering the final, and you ended up seeing Rybakina survive as she ended up winning. Then she had a bit of a protest when it comes down to the tournament's, I'd say, ceremony, because they have a new WTA chair, and Rybakina refused to take pictures with her, which was a pretty awkward look. But either way, there is some personal beef between them separately. I'm not going to get into now. Point is, though, Rybakina won the title and decided, you know what, photos I'm good with. I don't want to take a photo with this new chair of WTA. And either way, congrats to Rybakina, who's had a very up and down the last couple of years. We'll see if she can translate it into another Grand Slam title in 2026. But as for 2025, a nice ending to the season, winning the WTA Finals in straight sets, not dropping a single match. Anyway, to wrap it up for the recap, time on into the men's Tour Final, starting on Sunday, actually. Before we get into the breakdown of the event, a reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is MyBookie.ag. Using to bet on football, basketball, hockey, tennis, college sports as well. You also check out, once again, the platform with crypto for funding your account and for getting nice payouts. To check out the options they have with crypto. Also, a reminder, when you sign up for a new account, the code SGPN at MyBookie.ag. A reminder, we have a nice deal with you. When you use the code SGPN, you'll get a full betback bonus, 100% up to $500 for your customers. MyBookie.ag promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig. So if you're interested in checking out prediction markets, then Novig's the best one you can find in America for sports. Get some great prices by shopping around. Available in 30 states. Download the app when you do so. You get a nice deal with us. Get $50 to spend just $5 if use our promo code SGPN. And then actually Novig, promo code SGPN. Spend $5 to $50 for free in bonus funds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scam Podcast. Finished going through the recap of the finals in Athens and in Metz, then talked about the women's final in the WTA Tour Finals match between Sabalenka and Rybakina. Time to on into the breakdown of the ATP Tour Finals taking place in Turin. Now, a reminder, they do shift locations in the event every few years. So we've been in Turin before, but the history, besides the last 4 iterations, are not that relevant because they were not held in Turin. Now, for the winners, we saw Sinner beat Fritz in the final last year. Sinner dominated. He, I believe, dropped one of the fewest total amounts of games ever in the entire event. Sinner rolled through everybody, so I'll see if he can do it again here in Turin. Beat Fritz, though, in the final in straight sets. Djokovic did beat Sinner the year before that. Saw Djokovic beat Ruud, and saw Zverev beat Medvedev. Now, a reminder that you have Ruud and Djokovic who are not here. So a couple of finalists and one two-time winner in Turin is not here. So you could argue the field is more open. Then again, you still have Alcaraz and Sinner and a bunch of other guys in the top 8 that really aren't threatening to them. So we'll see what happens. But either way, should be a pretty fun event. Now, for the actual format, same thing as the women's event. If you did not pay attention to that, there is a group stage. So there's going to be 2 groups. One is the Jimmy Connors group. One is the Bjorn Borg group. They're not actually there. It's just named after them. But the point is, you're going to see 4 guys in each actual group. They'll play against each other in a full round robin. And then whoever ends up being top 2 in each group advances to the semis. Single elimination after that, and then you end up having the final, of course. So in theory, which we have seen before, you can lose a match in the event and still win the title. If you lose a group stage match and you finish top 2, it's fine. You still advance into the semis. So keep that in mind when you're actually looking at your outrights. They can lose a match if you're picking somebody not named Sinner or Alcaraz. You want to go for a Fritz or a Zverev, for example. In theory, if they lose to the best player in their group, beat the other 2, they still advance. Now, they might have to face him again at some point. They're going to have to win at some point. But the point is, you can, in theory, advance to the semis despite not winning all of your group stage matches. So, point is getting into the Bjorn Borg match. Full disclosure, by the way, with Sinner and Alcaraz, massive favorites in their respective groups. But I did find one bargain price shopping around. So for Borg, this is going to be the Sinner group. Spoiler, a massive favorite. He's minus 575. Now, for the group members, you have Shelton at 9-1. You have Felix at 10-1 and Zverev at 10-1. Now, Zverev, I think, is a very, very disrespectful price. I know the last time we saw him, Sinner beat him 6-0, 6-1. Zverev looked exhausted after the marathon against Medvedev. His legs were jello, and he got destroyed. Having said that, I do have to question why Shelton is the second lowest odds to win the group when he has not won a set against Sinner in a long time. Now, Felix, we saw win a set against him in the U.S. Open. We saw him lose competitively in the final in Paris. So I do question why Shelton actually has the second lowest odds in this quarter. I'm not taking Shelton for the record. I get his serve is very good. The courts in Turin are very fast, which is why Sinner's almost unbeatable on the courts here. But I think that Shelton, who has not won a set against Sinner in a long time, him being second favorite is absolutely absurd. So I'm not going to go with him for this one. Now, I do think for potential value on the other long shots, you could argue that Felix can maybe make it interesting. We know that Zverev did lose a 3-set marathon in Vienna to Sinner a couple weeks ago. So we have seen Zverev give Sinner some problems, not actually winning recently, but he can make it interesting. Now, the real question is, will anybody beat Sinner? I'm going to say no. I think Sinner's too good, especially on the courts here. And according to all the exhibition results with the 1-set scrimmages against Alcaraz, etc., Sinner has been destroying everybody, including Alcaraz. So I don't think anybody's got a chance, to be honest, but I think Sinner wins. I found a minus 500. Am I betting this? No. But I'm not betting any of the other guys because I don't see Sinner losing. So I think Sinner's going to be undefeated, arguably in the entire event again. He did not drop a set last year. We'll see if that happens in this one. But either way, point is Sinner is too good. Simply put, the quarter's a joke. You have Felix, you have Zverev, and you have Shelton. Sinner's going to roll. I got nothing else to add, really. So give me Sinner at minus 500. Not going to bet it, but you know what? For the actual board group, pretty underwhelming because it's Sinner and a bunch of guys you're not scared of at all. I think Zverev is mispriced at 10-1 unless he is still potentially injured from that match he ended up losing against Sinner. But he had about a week or two off. I think he'll be fine. I think that if you want to argue who has the best chance of beating Sinner in the group, I would say Zverev, but you know my thoughts on Zverev against Sinner are not positive. So give me Sinner to win the quarter or win the group. That's all I have to say. I got nothing else to add for this actual group. Moving on to the Connors group, more competitive, kind of. So according to DraftKings, Alcaraz is minus 500 to win the group. Fritz is 6-1. Musetti's 10-1. and de Minaur is 10-1 as well. Now, Musetti I'm eliminating because after the marathon run that he had to go on to make it to the final and to lose in heartbreaking fashion just to qualify for the event, coincidentally, he didn't have to because Djokovic dropped out. But still, point is Musetti really has no recovery time. And I do think that after he had to play a bunch of matches in the last couple of weeks just to try to get into the top 10, or the top 8, I should say, I think Musetti's going to be gassed. So I'll pass on Musetti, not interested for the long shot. De Minaur, I think, could be intriguing in theory if you think he can beat Alcaraz. He's 0-4 a lifetime, did take a set off him in Rotterdam. But Fritz, we know, did beat Alcaraz in an exhibition in the Laver Cup. Best he got, ended up losing the final to Alcaraz in an actual event a couple weeks later. But the point is Alcaraz should win the quarter or the group. However, minus 500 is expensive. Now, luckily, I did find a different book that has a much better price. So it's minus 500 on most spots. However, BetMGM has Alcaraz minus 150. So once again, you can find a $3.50 differential by simply shopping around. Same market, DraftKings at 500 and BetMGM's at minus 150. Take the 150 for value alone. It's a wrong line. It's incorrect. It should be closer, in my opinion, to minus 400. But either way, I think minus 150 is an absolute bargain. So I'll take that before the line moves. Now, I'm not going to take Alcaraz by himself like I did with Sinner, because Alcaraz on fast hard courts is not as dominant as you might think. And there is a chance with the firepower in this group, he could in theory lose. So we'll see what happens, but I do think the actual quarter itself is manageable. I mean, Musetti's not going to have much left in the tank, in my opinion. De Minaur could be dangerous at 10-1, but I do think Fritz is appealing at 6-1, mainly because of the serve on the fast courts here. I'm not saying he would beat Alcaraz, but I think he can beat de Minaur. I think he will beat Musetti. And the fact is, I do think if Alcaraz ends up slipping or he struggles with the court speeds, I think Fritz has the firepower to make it interesting. And I do think Fritz can maybe find a way to get the job done. Would I pick him to win that match in a potential money line situation? No. But if you're asking, can I see it possibly happening? Sure. I think out of the entire group that he's in, he has the best serve. So he has the weapons, and he made the final here last year, same exact courts. I like the success he's had on these courts, and I do think his firepower can translate well. So I'll go with Fritz at 6-1, mainly because I don't see de Minaur or Musetti winning. So if you actually take Alcaraz and Fritz, good arbitrage at minus 150 compared to plus 200, and plus 600, I mean. Not exact arbitrage because you can, in theory, lose if Musetti or de Minaur win the group. But I do think that Fritz and Alcaraz are, in my opinion, the two guys that can win it. I would pick Alcaraz mainly, but I do think Fritz has some value at 6-1. I'll take those two guys for the group. Now, for the outrights to actually win the event. Now, for the odds, Sinner's minus 140. Alcaraz around plus 125. Then you have a massive jump, as there should be. Fritz is a 20-1. Zverev is 20-1. De Minaur is 22-1. Musetti is 25-1, Sheldon 25-1, and Felix is 25-1. Now, once again, I've mentioned this many times before, whether it involves Grand Slams or even big 1,000 events, if Alcaraz and Sinner are both in the same event, don't waste your damn time and money betting on other people. It is a complete waste of time. I think Sinner will win the event personally. Alcaraz does struggle with the fast hard courts, but the counterpoint is if nobody can beat Sinner, then who am I going to take? And you're kind of stuck with Sinner. Now, I'll give Alcaraz some credit because in the head-to-head, he has been quite good. So I do think Alcaraz might be worth something. I found a rogue price, very solid, so I'll take that as well. But for the outrights, rinse and repeat. Give me the two favorites that nobody else is close to on the entire tour, including Djokovic at this point in their careers. Give me Sinner at minus 140. Love the price. I found a 175 shopping around, so you can find, once again, worse numbers out there. 140, I think, is a very good price for a guy that did not drop a set last year and a guy that is the best hardcourt player in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Give me Sinner, minus 140 as my first choice. Now, I said before, Alcaraz, I did see a plus 125. However, I found a rogue line on BetMGM as well. Alcaraz is plus 225. Good enough for me. I like the price. If Alcaraz loses, am I going to be annoyed? No. Anyway, but if you're asking who I think can beat Sinner on the planet without injury assistance, Alcaraz might be the only guy. So I'll go for the usual suspects here. Give me the two best players in the world that have basically lapped the field up to this point, comparing themselves to the rest of the tour. So give me the two favorites once again. It's been working for us in every Grand Slam and for the 1,000 events. Give me Sinner and Alcaraz, and we'll go from there. So once again, the actual outright picks for the ATP Tour Finals, for the group stage stuff. For the board group, we're going to go with Sinner at minus 500. Not betting it, but I'm not picking anyone else. I think everything else is a donation. I think Sinner should win that going away. For the Connors group, I'll go with two people. Give me Alcaraz minus 150. Rogue Line Extreme on BetMGM, so check that out. And I'll go with Fritz as well at 6-1. For the outrights to win the event, usual chalk, I'm going to go with Sinner at minus 140. And I will throw in Alcaraz at plus 225. So wrap it up for the outrights, though. Time on into the lock and dog picks. Before we get into the lock and dog, reminder brought to you by our sponsor, Arnick Fantasy. So you can also check out the pick'em entries. Chance to win 5,000 times your entry. Pick higher or lower on player stats in different sports. And once again, try to create a pick'em entry, and you can win up to 5,000 times your money. They have a new offer, though, for the customers. Play just $5. Get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. So they're crushing college football and the NFL. They also added NBA, giving away cash prizes every week for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of any type that you end up building from your model. And you also can win 1K. So great overall deal for you. Build a model, just track 5 plays. Whether they win or lose, you can win 1K. So great deal, no questions asked. And a reminder as well, we have a nice discount code with Rhythm. If you want to check out the platform, use code SGPN25 or download the app for a quarter off first month. Down Rhythm. Once again, promo code SGPN25 for a quarter off first month. Promo code SGPN25. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the preview of the outrights in the ATP Tour Finals in Turin. Time to go on into the lock and dog picks. Now, for clarity, we only did the lock and dog picks on the matches for Sunday. Didn't see any odds being posted beyond that, so instead we'll just only focus on the two matches taking place on Sunday. For the lock, going to the Zverev match against Shelton. Give me Zverev minus 1.5 games at minus 113. Zverev has owned Shelton the head-to-head. He's 4-0 lifetime. He's beaten him multiple times this year. And on top of that, Shelton did win the first set they ever played. Since then, he's not won a set. Zverev's won 7 straight sets. So the point is Zverev owns them, and I think he should look sharp once again. Said before that he is a former champion here in Turin. The only concern is potential durability issues after the loss he had in the semis in Paris, but he has been off for about a week or so. I think he'll be fine. But you're looking at Zverev, who is a former champion here, and we know matchup-wise, Zverev is a problem for Shelton because Shelton has a lot of firepower, not much overall control, and I do think the rally tolerance can be very underwhelming at times, and the universal error count can be high. Zverev has a good serve. He's a better returner than Shelton, and you're looking at a guy who can wear down Shelton over long rallies to force a mistake. And I do think that Shelton, who doesn't really have much experience in this type of atmosphere, I think Zverev's going to beat him again. So I think that Zverev's a good price. You can go for the money one if you want to, but it's about minus 150. So I'll save the 40 cents, give or take, once again, by taking the games instead. Zverev's 4-0 lifetime against him. Good enough for me. Then the price is too cheap. Give me Zverev minus 1.5 games as my lock for the show. For my dog, I'm going to go to the Alcaraz match against Dimonauer. And for this one, did something a bit different, a bit bolder, but I still like it. I'm going to go with Dimonauer over 1.5 breaks of serve at plus 110. Dimonauer, we know, is an elite returner, arguably best in the entire tour, definitely top 5. Either way, though, he's been very good lately. He has recorded at least 2 breaks in 5 of his last 6 matches, including 1 straight set loss to Sinner. He still broke twice. So the fact is, I know his return game is very good, and we know Alcaraz's serve can be underwhelming at times, especially if the first serve percentage drops. But you're looking at Dimonauer, who's been good in the head-to-head as well. I said before, he's 0-4 lifetime against Alcaraz. However, despite being 0-4, he's recorded 2+ breaks in 3 of those 4 meetings. So Dimonauer, despite probably losing to Alcaraz, has been successful in the past at frustrating Alcaraz's service games, and I do think that Dimonauer should find openings in order to actually break a couple of times. But 1.5 breaks when he's done it in 3 of the last 4 meetings, and you're also looking at him doing it in 5 of the last 6 overall, including 2 breaks against Sinner. I like the price. Give me Dimonauer over 1.5 breaks here, plus 110. That's available on DraftKings. Anyway, once again, the lock and dog picks. The lock's going to be on Zverev, minus 1.5 games at minus 113 against Shelton. For the dog, I'm going to go with Dimonauer over 1.5 breaks against Alcaraz at plus 110 to wrap up for the show. And a reminder, check out the podcast on YouTube or Spotify or Apple. Also, check out the, once again, Twitter that we have for the SGPN network, so check that out. And a reminder, check me out on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.